Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. And as always, we're back with another massive show to bring you guys this morning. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And let's get straight on into it. So I assume everyone is probably feeling a little bit downhearted today. Obviously, the game yesterday was... it wasn't particularly great, was it? We will be talking about that in length. We're also going to be talking a little bit about what happens now with Jadon Sancho. We'll also be looking at what's going on with the takeover, because we need to find a solution to this. We really, really do. Because if anything, if yesterday is anything to go by, then it's a prime indication of why we need to change everything in the club. We need a new director of football. We need new scouts. We need new, CEO. We need new owners. Everything needs to change behind the scenes because we know that Brighton are able to play the way they are because of the infrastructure they have. And Manchester United just simply don't have that at the moment. We don't have the right scouts. We don't have the right, the directors of football and all the rest of that stuff, and it's just very frustrating. It is what it is. And De Zerbi actually came out after the match and he was asked, how are Brighton able to play the way they are? How are they able to achieve this top level, quality of football? And he ultimately came out and said, it's because of the setup, it's because of the backroom staff, it's because of the scouts, it's because of, all of the infrastructure that the owners have put in place. And if anybody's ever watched any of the interviews with the owner and the director of football of Brighton, it's honestly, it's so interesting. And they plan so far ahead that they already have the next manager of Brighton ready to come in. So if anything needs to change, if De Zerbi goes to a new club, they already know who the new manager is. If one of their best players goes, they already know who's going to replace them. In every single position, they have 2 or 3 players who they think are as good. And it's just a conveyor belt of talent. And, Manchester United is just the complete opposite of it, right? I think the Brighton squad yesterday, the whole price of the squad was about £10 million, the whole squad that played us yesterday. And then you look at our team, we had Onana 50 million, Rasmus Højlund 60 million, their whole team was worth £10 million yesterday. Yet we couldn't even really compete, could we? It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, De Zerbi said in the first 15-20 minutes we suffered a lot because Manchester United played in a different way than what we prepared for. But after that, we played a great game. I think the game was changed when we started keeping the ball. Yeah. So we're going to get into some of the stuff that Erik ten Hag said as well. And do let me know your thoughts in the comment section on how you're feeling this morning. I assume everyone's pretty frustrated. Obviously, the next game is against Bayern Munich, which is going to be an even tougher ask, I think. So we've got Bayern Munich next, then we've got Burnley away from home, then we've got then we've got Crystal Palace in the League Cup, and then we have Crystal Palace in the Premier League. So the next 4 games are absolutely massive. Obviously, I'm not really expecting to get much away at Bayern. I would assume that we will lose that game unless a miracle happens. Burnley away from home, I mean, that's a must-win game, isn't it? Even that, though, I'm going to be completely honest, I'm quite concerned about that game now after what I saw yesterday. I think any team that shows more desire and drive than us will beat us. And I think that Burnley at home probably will show more desire than us. They've just lost... sorry, they haven't lost. They're playing Nottingham Forest tomorrow. They lost 5-2 to Tottenham Hotspur last week. They haven't had a great start to the season, but it'll be just our luck to go away to Burnley. We'll go away to Burnley and probably have a difficult game. I think we will. But I did a little calculation this morning, which I thought was actually quite interesting. And I worked out that, obviously this is very, very early, but just to give you guys a bit of context of where we are at this moment in time. So I worked out how many points we had now, divided it by how many games we've played and how many games are in the Premier League season, right? So if we were to carry on the form that we're on now, right? At the end of the season, we'd be on 46 points. So that's our current form. If we carried on this current form, I think we've won 2 and lost 3. We would end the season after 38 games on 46 points. So that kind of gives you a bit of an idea of where we are at this moment in time. It has to obviously get better. It can get worse, but it can't get much worse, really, can it? 46 points is what? Just above the relegation mark, I guess. I can't remember what the... let me just have a look. So what was 46 points last season? So last season, it's not relegation to be fair, it's mid-table. 46 points last season was 11th place. I'm going to be completely honest, that sounds about realistic at this point in time. Relegation was 34 points. So at the moment we're playing as if we're a 9th or 10th, proper mid-table team. And I think that sounds about right from what I've seen so far. I wouldn't say, we're obviously not playing better than Tottenham, Aston Villa, Brighton, Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal, Manchester City, like all of those teams are doing better than us. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where we do go from here. Let's have this conversation though. Let's say, where do we go from here? So for me, I know a load of you in the chat are going to say get rid of Erik ten Hag. I don't think that's the solution for me personally. I just think that it's a constant conveyor belt of managers at Manchester United. You'll sack him, you bring in somebody, they'll be successful for a couple of games, a couple of months maybe, and then the players will just drop into their same pattern as they do usually. They'll lose energy, they'll lose mentality, they'll lose desire, and then they'll get sacked again. And it just repeats over and over again, doesn't it? I mean, that's what's happened since Sir Alex Ferguson has left. Every 2 years we sack a manager and then we start again. Half the players that we've bought might not fit the new manager's system, and then it just repeats over and over again. You know, what we actually need to do is we need to build a system and a playing style as a club. That's what Brighton do, okay? So people who say, oh, De Zerbi's incredible, De Zerbi's amazing. De Zerbi's just playing the same style of football as what Graham Potter did. Brighton have created a style of football that their club play. So what it means is that if they do lose a manager, they're not bringing in a new manager with new ideas and new techniques and new all the rest of it, right? They bring in a new manager who just can continue what the last manager has done. And that's what we need to be able to do. And I think we still don't have that identity at the moment. We didn't have an identity under Ollie. It was counter-attacking. Jose Mourinho was park the bus. Since Sir Alex Ferguson has gone, we haven't really had an identity as a football club. I would say our identity would be park the bus and counter-attack. That was our identity. So Erik ten Hag is trying to change us into something new, which I think is very, very difficult. When for the last 10 years, since Sir Alex Ferguson has left, all of our football has just been counter-attacking, realistically, hasn't it? It's been park the bus, counter-attacking, play the ball to Rashford, Rashford runs and Rashford tries to score. That's pretty much our Manchester United's, style of play, isn't it? Whereas you look at Brighton, it's high possession, it's dominating the ball. Every one of those players can play a good pass. I think Brighton only misplaced maybe 2 or 3 passes yesterday, whereas every time Manchester United got the ball, we would just give it straight back to Brighton over and over again. So I think it's easy to say sack the manager, but then what happens then? Who do you bring in? And in 2 years' time, they're going to get sacked anyway. It's just a constant conveyor belt. So for me, I don't really see the issue. I think, as Jim says, only new owners will break the cycle. And I completely agree with that, to be honest. I think that new owners need to come in. There need to be new owners with a clear direction, right? And the owners are going to say, this is what Manchester United style is. This is what we're going to play like. We're going to bring in players to match this system, not players that sell shirts and not players that are just like players the manager wants. We're going to actually bring in players that match the system that we've identified that we want to play and be known as a football club. That's what we need to do. That's what Brighton do. That's what all these other teams do. They have a style of play that in the upper levels of the club have decided this is what we're going to be known as footballing wise, right? And then they give the manager all of the resources and all of the support to be able to achieve those particular goals. And they only bring in players who fit that system. They only bring in people with mentality who fit that system. That's what we need to do, because at the moment, we just bring in a load of superstars, the same as PSG do, really, isn't it? It's a similar model. We bring in a load of superstars who might not even suit our style of play. We don't even have a style of play. They bring in a load of superstars, they throw them all on a team together. You've got Rashford, who had about 10 shots yesterday, all of which went wide, doesn't pass the ball. There's clearly no style of play. There's clearly no authority from above. It's just stick all these world-class players out, tell them to kind of get on with it, and see what happens. And I think that's just what happens for me personally. Let's see what everybody says. Richie says, Ten Hag with his negative style is stifling the player's natural flair. He's clueless tactically. Look at Liverpool, Spurs and Villa yesterday. Went down and manager changes things immediately. I would agree with that though, 100%. I think Erik ten Hag's substitutions yesterday were very questionable. I think bringing off Rasmus Højlund, the boos going around Old Trafford, that pretty much says it for everybody. Rasmus Højlund definitely shouldn't have come off yesterday. And after the game, right, Erik ten Hag comes out and says that apparently Rasmus Højlund can't play 90 minutes. I mean, why the hell have we signed him, right? I like Rasmus Højlund. I want him to do well. You sign him injured. We wait. How long do we wait for him to come back from injury? 4 weeks? He plays 20 minutes against Arsenal. And then he gets his debut and he only can play 50, 60 minutes. Apparently he still can't play a full 90 minutes of a game. And how long has he been a Manchester United player for now? I mean, why have we gone and spent all of that money on him? We signed him on the 5th of August. So we've had him for what, 6 or 7 weeks? And we're only able to play him for 50, 60 minutes. And he's a 20-year-old. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. And that, again, just, looks up to the higher people. Who's made that decision to bring that person in? It just confuses me. Let's see what else everyone's saying. Lumen says Erik ten Hag was clueless yesterday. Yeah. Somebody says PSG have changed their model by getting rid of Neymar and Messi. They will sell Mbappe or let him go. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We need to actually build a team. At the moment, we just bring in superstars. We bring in Galactico signings, if you like. You know, you bring in your Rafael Varanes, your Casemiros, all of these big name signings who don't really actually maybe suit whatever system of play we have. I don't even know what our system of play is. I still don't know that. We know that Erik ten Hag likes to play possession-based football. But do we have the team to do that? I'm not entirely sure. Let's see what else everyone is saying. Richie says, Glazers bashing again. Brighton team cost just 70. His comment's been removed. Okay. Somebody says, why is Rashford undroppable? Erik ten Hag needs to stop picking favourites and it will cost the team in the long run. I honestly think that the Rashford being picked thing is coming from higher up. I don't think that's 100% Erik ten Hag. I think there's maybe something in his contract. I think, part of his new deal was probably something along the lines of that he was going to have to be picked because, I don't know. I just think there's more to it. I just don't understand how he's undroppable. Like, yes, he was doing a lot from that left wing yesterday, but it was just very selfish. He didn't pass the ball. There was multiple opportunities where he could square the ball across to Rasmus Højlund and we'd score, but he would shoot and miss every time. And it was just like, yeah. Let's see what else everyone's saying. Mila says Bruno is not a captain material. He doesn't show up in big games. I'm not going to start sending for Bruno. I don't know. I don't think that's entirely fair. Who would be the captain instead? Casemiro? I mean, Casemiro was terrible yesterday. Rafael Varane, he's injured all the time. Who else is going to be the captain? Yeah. So let's have a look what Erik ten Hag said. Erik ten Hag says crisis would not be a fair word to describe the current situation. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying we're in a crisis, but if you look at the bigger picture of the whole club, I would say we are. You've got Jadon Sancho situation going on. You've obviously just had the Mason Greenwood situation. You've got Anthony, who might never play for Manchester United again if things don't go, in a certain way. You've got the takeover, which is in a complete mess. You've got us playing terrible football and have only got 6 points from a possible 15. I would say that not just because of the playing, but because of the whole picture of the club at the moment, I would say that Manchester United are in a crisis, really, if you think about it. All of the fans are devastated that the owners aren't going. You've got all of this off-the-field stuff going on, and we're doing badly on the field. So I would say there is a bit of a crisis, really, at this moment in time. Let's have a look. What else does everyone says? Hellboy says Reguilon played well, in my opinion. Yeah, he looked good. And you know what? Fair play to him. He actually looked like, of all of them, that he was like one of the only ones who actually really cared. And he's someone who's on loan. That's just embarrassing. It is. Anthony says, Erik ten Hag all the way. I stand by him 100%. Decisions are crazy, but oh well, there's more to it that we just don't know. Yeah, I honestly just think that getting rid of the manager won't make any difference. It really won't. Everything needs to change at Manchester United. And I think that, put it this way, right? If new owners come in and everything changes behind the scenes, and then in a year's time, we're still playing the same type of football, at that point, I would definitely say, maybe we need to bring in a new manager that, aligns with whatever the owners want to do with the football club. I would agree with that. But at this point, I just think it's pointless. I really do. It will just go over and over again. Lumen says Spurs manager is winning with similar players to us. Yes, but we've played 5 matches, remember. Yeah. Richie says Glazer bashing. Brighton team have played our overrated so-called superstars, cost 17 million, get things in context. Our players are overhyped, earning ridiculous wages. Well, I agree with all of that 100%. And that's my point. My point here is that you need to bring in players who actually fit the system that we're trying to play. You need to bring in players who are actually motivated and hungry to play, instead of bringing in people who are, past their best probably on ridiculous money and paying ridiculous fees for them. That seems to be what we do generally, isn't it? And and whilst at the same time keeping people like Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Anthony Martial, Donny van der Beek, letting Fred go for nothing, letting Tellez go for virtually nothing, letting Eric Bailly go for nothing. Do you see what I mean? Like, there's so many things that you have to look at in this. Malp says, I can't see Erik ten Hag making it till Christmas at this rate. Yeah. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I mean, as I said, based on our current form, if we were to end the season now, based on our form so far, we would end the season on 46 points, which would finish, based on last season's results, we'd finish about 10th or 11th. So it's mid-table form. And you know what? Like, I'll be completely honest. Like, at the beginning of the season, if you said we were going to finish 10th, I wouldn't be like shocked. I genuinely wouldn't. When you look at the other teams who are above us, right? Aston Villa are better than us. Newcastle are better than us. Liverpool are. Brighton are. Tottenham are. Chelsea probably about the same. Manchester City are better. Arsenal are better. Like, you know, the list goes on and on. There's 7 or 8 teams who are better than us. So is finishing 9th or 10th really that unbelievable? I don't think so. Obviously, it's not good. It's not what I want. But I'm not like going to sit here and be... It's not like Manchester City are going to finish 10th. You know what I mean? That would be a shock. Manchester United could finish anywhere between 4th and 10th, and I wouldn't be particularly surprised, to be completely honest. Mida says, if we don't go for De Zerbi in January and Erik ten Hag will get sacked, who else will we take? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I don't think Erik ten Hag will get sacked because I think they need to make a decision on the ownership first. If the Glazers are going to stay, then maybe they sack Erik ten Hag. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean now, but in the next kind of 6 months. But if the Glazers go, it's not up to the Glazers to sack Erik ten Hag. Why would they sack Erik ten Hag if they're going to leave? So I think we need to just find out what's actually going on with the ownership first to get a real idea. Tom says, did we expect anything different? If you did, what have you been watching this season? Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, as I just said, guys, at the beginning of this season, if you'd have told me we'd have finished 4th or 10th, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I would have believed it. You know, we're not a Manchester City. We're not a team who should be challenging for the title. Like, we weren't. Somebody says Rashford is greedy. Yeah, he is, yeah. Now, I don't know whether that's a tactics thing. I don't know whether, you know, Ten Hag says just get the ball and shoot. I would assume not. Maybe he doesn't want to upset him. I don't know. But if I was the manager watching that and seeing him have 10 shots on target, 10 shots off target, I think he made 1 save, didn't he, out of their goalkeeper all game when he had probably 2 or 3 opportunities to square it. Malk says, I can see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Erik ten Hag, to be honest, the stubbornness, the favouritism, etc. I would agree that he's very stubborn, yeah. And obviously the whole kind of last 18 months, you know, getting rid of David De Gea, I think that was the wrong decision. I genuinely do. I said it at the time and people were laughing at me saying, why are you getting so emotional about it? David De Gea is washed, you know, get rid of him, he's crap. You know, people were getting really... I remember on literally the day we were live and it was announced that Erik ten Hag, that David De Gea was 100% going. And I was genuinely upset about it. I thought, you know, we should have kept him. I think 1 more season with De Gea would have been fine. I think that was probably a mistake to spend 50 million on a goalkeeper when we needed another striker. We needed another midfielder. I mean, we arguably need another winger now because we've lost Anthony, we've lost Sancho and we've lost Greenwood, you know. There were so many more areas of the pitch that needed prioritising. We needed another centre-back. That, I think, was a mistake. So, you know, people always say, oh, be fair to, you know, criticise Erik ten Hag because they think that I support him too much. That was a mistake for me to get rid of David De Gea and bring in Onana. We got rid of the Golden Glove winner, you know, one of the best shot stoppers in the Premier League, to bring in somebody who's supposedly this elite distribution and all the rest of it. Yesterday, I saw Onana misplace 2 or 3 passes in that game. If that was David De Gea, he'd been absolutely slaughtered on Twitter. You'd see videos of him all over it saying, get him out of my club and all the rest of it. And I don't think Onana's anywhere near the shot-stopping level of David De Gea. There was quite a few chances yesterday where I felt like he probably should have done better. Looking at the rest of it as well, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously after he did that Piers Morgan interview, he had to go. But I don't know. Obviously, if you win results, everyone will sit back and say that was a great decision, you know, so good that he got rid of Ronaldo. But as soon as things start to go badly, obviously, you know, people's opinions change. Somebody says, you continue to chat about the manager getting the sack, but 11 years, 6 managers, and you'll continue to talk about the managers being the problem. Exactly, mate. I completely agree with you. I do, 100%. That's a great comment, you know? As he says, we've had 6 managers in the last 11 years. Every 1.5 years, we sack a manager. What does it really achieve? Yes, we'll probably get a bit of a new manager bounce. Yes, the players will probably motivate themselves again for a couple of games, but does that not just say it all for you? The fact that the manager has to be sacked in order for the players to actually care, for the players to actually go out and try. That just sums it up for me. I think it's a deep lying rot inside the club that needs addressing, not just sack the manager. Like, I just think that's a bit of an easy way out, and I don't think it will actually make any difference for me personally. But I get it. I understand that people are frustrated. And big up to Tomsy, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, mate. Hope you have a good day. Right, let's see what else everybody's saying. Jim says the goalkeeper can play out from the back, but the rest of the team can't. It's crazy. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. I don't really understand the signing of Onana now. It's a little bit strange. Malp says we lost to the Brighton B team. They made 6 changes and we couldn't beat them. That is worrying, really worrying. This could get a lot worse. Mate, I 100% agree. At the beginning of the match, right, when I saw that Brighton lineup, I thought this is going to be an easy win. Like, half of that team were poor players on paper. Yeah, half of that team looked really, really poor on paper, didn't it? The Brighton team. They didn't have a Stupinan, they didn't have Ferguson, they didn't have Enciso. There was a load of others. There was about 6 of their first team players missing, and they completely dominated us. And that is down to mentality, because on paper, our players are better than theirs. I think we can all agree on that, right? You know, you had Casemiro, you have Rasmus Højlund, Marcus Rashford. You've got all of these elite players, and they still can't be able to go out and put out a good performance against Brighton at home. Lumen says, Kieran, what tactical decision of Erik ten Hag have you liked so far? Tell me one. Well, I will tell you. So last season, first 2 games, he tries to play Erik ten Hag ball. Go and watch the first 2 games back. He tries to play this dominating, passing out from the back football, right? It doesn't work. We lose to Brighton 2-1 at home. I was at that game. And then we lose 4-0 to Brentford. To Brentford? I think it was to Brentford, wasn't it? Anyway, we lost 4-0 the second game, right? After that, he then changes the formation. He changes to a 4-2-3-1. He plays more defensive football, more counter-attacking football, and it works, and we start getting results. And that was a good decision from him, because otherwise he probably would have been sacked, I reckon. You already had Sky Sports trying to get him sacked after 2 games last season, saying it's unacceptable and all the rest of it, which is obviously fine. And I think that all that Erik ten Hag tried to do last year was to get top 4, which he achieved, which I didn't expect. He tried to win a trophy, which again I didn't expect, and he did. And he got to a final. And I think that last season it worked. Casemiro looks off it this season. That's a massive issue for us. Obviously, Varane's injured, Luke Shaw's injured, Mason Mount's injured. But look at our injury list, right? We're missing about 10 players. Kobe Mainoo, obviously Anthony's gone, Sancho's gone, Greenwood's gone. Like, we're missing literally 10 first-team players now. Okay, I know that's no excuse. I know that we had a better team than Brighton on paper. It's not about that. It's about mentality. You know, you bring these people into Manchester United and they all think that they're superstars. Rashford thinks he's Mbappe. He's not. He's nowhere near the level of Mbappe. And that's because of the pedestal that Manchester United put them on. We give them stupid wages. We treat them like they're these mega celebrities when they're not really. And that's why we're in this position, in my opinion. And it's all down to the recruitment. It's all down to the scouting. It's down to the mentality that's being set at the club. Yeah. Let's see what else everyone's saying. Amelia says, if I earned 250 grand a week, I don't care what happens in management. I would give my best every game for fans and for the club. It's easy to say that though, isn't it? Obviously, it's easy to say that because you're a Manchester United fan, but like a lot of these players are just, I don't want to, yeah, they're mercenaries really. Let's see, Michael says, sacking the manager vibes, just take the emphasis away from the Glazers. Exactly. You need to be looking internally at the club. Sacking the manager isn't the issue for me. I think, you need to get rid of the Glazers, get rid of John Murtaugh, get rid of Richard Arnold, get rid of all the scouts, bring in people who actually can identify talent from a young age, hungry talent like Brighton do. And then maybe you start having that conversation, But for me, sacking the manager isn't the answer. Getting rid of the Glazers is the immediate answer. Somebody says, I'm starting to question Onana. I hope he doesn't turn out to be a nonsensical keeper. Yeah, I do kind of agree with you. Malk says, Real Madrid knew with Casemiro and Varane, they would never get rid of them if they were still at the top level. They knew the decline had injuries and we took the bait. I 100% agree with that, to be honest. I really, really do. Yeah, Casemiro was good last season. Varane is a world-class player on his day, but he'll only play half the games this season. I'm telling you, Rafael Varane. Casemiro doesn't look fit. He can barely run. Like, he looks like he's not up to scratch. He looks like he's, I don't know. He just doesn't look like he's up to it, does it? Lumen says, Kieran, do you agree that managers change their tactics after seeing the first 20 minutes of Man United? Yeah, well, I think they did do that yesterday, Brighton, didn't they? The manager, De Zerbi, even came out after the game and said they were surprised by how Manchester United played in the first 20 minutes, and then they changed their system, and then that was when Manchester United ultimately just got completely destroyed. Everybody's just joined in the last couple of minutes. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. I know everyone's feeling a bit miserable today, but please do support the channel. I'd really appreciate it, so thank you very much. Maxi says Casemiro to the Saudi League soon. I agree with that, to be honest. I think Rafael Varane, I think Casemiro, I think both of them probably need to go to the Saudi League relatively soon. As much as I like them, they've only got 1 or 2 years left on their contracts. They definitely won't be given a new contract at the end of it. I would say at some point in the next kind of 6 to 12 months, let them go, bring in younger players, hungrier players, who have more of an engine in them. I would even go as far as saying that Eriksen probably is in that same camp. I think Eriksen is a little bit past it. I think, at international level where the football's a lot slower, he can do all right. But in a physical league where, everybody's running a lot faster than him and a lot more distance than him, I think he is a little bit past it for me personally. And we do have quite a few of those types of players in that squad at the moment. the Erikssens, the Varans, the Casemiros. There's quite a few players who are kind of reaching the twilight of their career, isn't it? Mila says, why does United have more injuries every year than any other top 6 club? I don't know, mate. Obviously, our injury record is absolutely appalling at the moment. I have no idea as to why our injuries are so bad. But so many people are saying get rid of Rashford. I don't think Rashford will be sold ever. I think Rashford's here for the long run. Mount says Eriksson is done, in my opinion. Yeah, I do kind of agree with you, to be honest, mate. I don't think he's good enough to be playing in the Premier League anymore. I think he would be great in a slower league. I do, because obviously he can pick that world-class pass. But yeah, generally, yeah, I don't know. He obviously is a good player, but I don't think he's got the engine in him anymore for the Premier League. Somebody says, if Brighton managed to change tactics in 20 minutes and Erik ten Hag can't for the next 60 minutes, then Erik ten Hag out. Okay. Lumen says, Kieran, would you bench Rashford and start Garnacho and Pellistri or even Hannibal against Bayern? Yeah, I reckon Hannibal should definitely get some game time. I think Garnacho should. I think Pellistri should. I don't think Rashford will ever get benched, though. I don't. No one ever seems to bench Rashford, ever. I don't know why. Maybe he trains well. Maybe he turns up on time. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what the answer is. Irvin says, I wasn't agreed to change goalkeeper, but please don't forget every goalkeeper was shit in the beginning at Manchester United. Yeah, I'm not. Look, just to be very clear, right? I want Onana to obviously do well. I like Onana, but I just don't think spending 50 million on him euros was a priority this window for me. I think the whole rest of the team needed addressing. Centre back, midfield. We needed another striker. We needed probably another winger. You know, or at least an attacking player who could play in strike and wings, a versatile player. That was more my point. Fred says, I didn't see any desire yesterday except from Hannibal. Yeah, I mean, fair play to Hannibal. He came on the pitch and, you know, gave way more than any of those other players did. So fair play to him. He can hold his head, you know, high after that game. But the rest of them, yeah, not great. Let's talk about this Jadon Sancho situation really quickly then before I wrap up the video. So this story's coming out from Sport Build, and they're reporting, this was last night, they're reporting that Barcelona are closely monitoring Jadon Sancho's situation with a view to a possible loan move in January. It goes on to say that Barcelona are interested in a move for Jadon Sancho amid his Manchester United exile. So it looks like, you know, the options for Jadon are starting to appear. Obviously, after the game yesterday, it doesn't really help Erik ten Hag's cause, because obviously all of the pundits and stuff are going to be saying, why is he not playing Sancho? You know, the team's rubbish, blah, blah, blah. But to be honest with you, I don't think Sancho would have made any difference yesterday. The only area of the field where we got the ball was on Rashford's side, and Rashford would run and he would shoot. And that was pretty much all of our attacking options were yesterday. So Rashford gets the ball, Rashford runs, Rashford tries to score, Rashford doesn't score, and that was pretty much it. So bringing Jadon Sancho into that game yesterday, I don't think it would have made a whole lot of difference, to be completely honest with you. The thing that I wanted to bring into the chat as well, right? Obviously, as you guys know, I don't want Erik ten Hag to be sacked, but if Erik ten Hag went, I'm not saying now, but do you think that changes the situation with Jadon Sancho, you know? I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I'm sure some people would say, oh, bring in De Zerbi. I'm sure De Zerbi would change Sancho into this world-class player. Like, I'm sure people do have opinions like that. I haven't really considered it, but I thought I'd bring it in just to see what you guys think. Obviously, I didn't want Erik ten Hag to leave. I think he's the right person for the job, but yeah. Barry says Bayern will hammer us and then Glazers will sell. Maybe. I don't know, mate. To be honest, with the Glazers, it's all down to money. You know, even though we're performing badly, we've just got the biggest kit deal in world football. We've just got the biggest shirt sponsorship deal in world football. We're still making record revenue year on year. The Glazers just care about money. So I don't know. I guess not being in the Champions League would hit their pockets. But it won't hit their pockets. It will hit our pockets. Because all the Glazers will do, right? Just remember this, okay? If Manchester United don't qualify for the Champions League, then the Glazers will probably just spend less money, or they'll take out more loans to buy players. That's all they'll do. So it won't really actually affect them, because they're never going to put their own money in. It's not like they're going to have to, you know, put 200 million of their own money in to keep Manchester United afloat. Like, we'll still just keep functioning. So it's just one of those ones, isn't it? But yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined me this morning. Obviously, I know everyone's feeling a bit miserable, so thank you for spending some time with me on this Sunday morning. I will be back at 6 p.m. today. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video on your way out. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran, and I'll catch you all later.